Hi everyone! In this video I want to talk a little bit about the argument breakdown worksheet. So what you're going to be doing in this argument breakdown worksheet is looking over the reading 2 and analyzing the main argument of reading 2. So what you'll actually submit is the worksheet itself. You can see right here. The worksheet is linked right here, so you click it and download it, and it looks like this. I'm just going to go over a couple elements of it and give you some advice in this walkthrough video. This is what it looks like. And what I would like you to do, let me just make it a little smaller so we can all see it. What I would like you to do is using reading 2, I want you to fill out this worksheet. So you would put the title of the reading here, the author of the reading here, and then it's going to ask you questions like, what is the claim presented in this article? And what I want you to look into, so that I know that you're understanding the article, I want you to offer up the main claim presented in the article, the author's main claim. So what you're looking for is, as we've talked about before, the main idea, the thesis statement. Not everything we read has an explicit thesis statement. Sometimes the thesis statement is implied. It's going to be up to you to determine that. Ultimately, what I'm looking for here is a restatement in your words of what the main point of the article is. So remember, to arrive at that, you want to figure out what the topic is first, and hopefully that's something you worked on with the comprehension section. You want to figure out what the topic is first, and then you want to think about the author's take on the topic. So what is the author trying to tell you about this topic? And if you'll recall, this is something that you worked on a little bit already in kind of a less formal setting for the quiz that you took in Unit 2, the Unit 2 comprehension quiz. So if you want to go back and look at your submissions for that, you can see that one of the questions that was asked on that quiz, let me see if I can pull it up for you to show you. Yeah, is what is the main idea or claim that the author makes in the Unit 2 reading assigned by your instructor, and list some reasons that the author gives in the reading. So both of these questions can help you in filling out this more formalized breakdown of an argument, as can any feedback that you were given on that quiz. What you're looking for here is to explain what the author's take is on the topic, what their opinion is on this particular subject. Here, the next question it's asking is, what is the primary tone used to deliver the argument? For tone, I have included something that we read back in Unit 1, an article called Tone as a Reader that has a whole bunch of tone words inside of it. I've linked that in the announcement. So when you're going to answer this question, you can pull up that article and look at the example tone words and pick one that you think applies to this article. Who is the target audience for this argument? One piece of advice I always give students when identifying who a target audience is start with the phrase people who, because it's going to force you to think about the group of people who this is actually meant for. One thing I don't want to see is everyone, anybody, the general public, because if everything was written for everybody and the general public, we would all read everything. That's not really a good answer when you're thinking about this critically. Think about who the group of people this written for actually are. Think about who would be interested in this article, who cares about this article, who is going to have some stakes in this article. So limit it to people who. Start with people who, and then finish the thought from there. Down here, you see that you're expected to list 2 reasons. There may be more reasons in the article, but you're only required to find and analyze 2 of them. I should say, and analyze 2 of them. When you are looking at these 2 reasons, if you want to go back to the drawing board and pick 2 of the reasons you included in your comprehension quiz, you should be able to do that. If for any reason you're having trouble seeing your answers on the comprehension quiz, let me know as well. I have changed the settings, so you should be able to access anything that you wrote there. But if you're having trouble doing that, please let me know. So list any 3 reasons that the author gives in the reading assigned by your instructor that support the main idea. If you did a good job on listing, let's say 2 of these, if you're like, oh yeah, I feel like those were really good reasons, what I want you to do is then investigate them further. So in this worksheet that you're doing, what's one reason supported used by the author for this claim? You would put your reason here. And then the next question is, what type of evidence is used to support that claim? Is the author providing facts or statistics, personal experience, expert opinion, and list the things that apply. So what type of evidence is being used? If you're like, man, I don't really know the difference between these things, and it is worth looking up because a lot of times people will say statistics when they mean facts. Statistics are specific types of facts that are numbers based. So if you're not clear about what these things are, I will also be linking an article in the announcement that goes over types of evidence. So when you get to this question, instead of just being like, I don't know, I guess it's expert opinion, go and look those things up and make sure that you understand what these different types of evidence are. The article, I can pull it up. The article is called Evidence and How to Evaluate It. And you can see that one of the first things it includes are different definitions of different types of evidence: statistics, personal experience, anecdotes, testimonials, facts, scientific evidence, hypothetical examples. So this gives some definitions, including expert opinion is included down here under scientific evidence. So if you aren't sure what type of thing you're looking at, look through these types of evidence to see what the evidence you found might be classified as. So this is going to be a helpful source as you're answering the questions. And that's what you'll include here: a reason or support that the author used for the main claim, and the type of evidence that they used. And I think it would be helpful if you also included that evidence. So if you answer, fact, opinion, that's not terribly helpful. That's not showing me that you really understand. I would prefer if you said something like fact, That's a weird thing I just made up off the top of my head. But this is a little bit of a description, so I know what you're talking about. So like, let's say expert opinion. Let's say they talk to this would be an example of an expert opinion. You don't need to get into a lot of specifics. You could cut and paste the statistic or the fact in here from the article and put quotation marks around it, but I would like something more than just fact, personal experience, because that's going to help me if you include a little bit of a description or even cut and paste the fact or statistic you found into this box. It's going to help me understand what you're looking at. And that's, I think, a good thing. And then the last part that I want to talk about here of this worksheet is the counter argument. So is there a counter argument to the claim presented in the article, and did the author refute the claim? If so, how? So is there a counter argument to the claim presented in the article? And I should clarify this. Did the author refute the claim of the counter argument? That's what I mean there. Did the author refute the claim of the counter argument? So what you want to include in this section, in the counter argument section, is an explanation of if there was some kind of counter argument presented to this main claim. So the author has their topic and they make some kind of opinion or offer some kind of take on it. Does the author include anything from what the other side might see? So for example, if we were doing something like, I don't know, defining critical thinking, part of which that article, the article Defining Critical Thinking by Lumen, talks a little bit about critical thinking and how it's a valuable skill. That article doesn't really include any counter argument. There's not really anything in there that says, at the same time, some people don't think that critical thinking really has helped their lives. There's no counter argument present there. So if that were the case, you would say, no, I don't see any counter argument presented in the article. For the question, did the author refute the claim of the counter argument? If so, how? If one isn't present, then you can say not applicable. But for these questions, you're looking to examine and see if, in response to this main claim, the author offered some kind of alternative opinion, how other people think, and then explain if the author did the work of saying, okay, but here's why those other people are still wrong and I'm right. Because that's what a refutation or rebuttal is. A response to a counter argument. So these are just parts of the article that I want you to identify. I will also link in the announcement an article just about counter evidence and counter argument. So you can read over that as well if this section is still a little hard to understand. What exactly is a counter argument? Read over that section about counter evidence and what constitutes counter argument. And that's what I'd like you to do.